talk about the Briana Taylor, the federal charges, the four former and current law enforcement officers.
Yes.
So yes, last week, four current and former law enforcement officers involved with the murder of Briana Taylor now face multiple federal charges. What exactly does this mean? I want to ask actually on both sides, for the family of Briana Taylor and also for these four defendants.
Yeah. So once someone is being charged with it, in federal court, they can make the decision if they are ready to set their case for a trial docket right away, which is what I believe two of the officers have already decided they're going to be waiting for a trial. And then the other ones can make the decision if they, would like to move forward with pretrial litigation. So pretrial discussions on, do we work towards a plea agreement? Do we work towards trying to work something out outside of going to trial? And so that process, is a case-by-case basis, right? And so that could be something that could last for a couple of months or a couple of years. It really just depends. But like I said, two of the officers have already decided that they're going to be moving forward with a trial setting. And so we're just still kind of waiting on those other officers to make their decision on what they plan to do for their case.
Okay. And then I'm guessing with that being said, then the family of Briana Taylor, they really have no choice but to just also sit back and wait until the next step happens. There's nothing for them to do, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So the process of just this, of them being charged, is a step in the direction of what they are seeking, right? Is for the punishment for them and for them to be held accountable. And so, but after this it goes into the hands of the court. And when the court schedules allow for a trial setting, then the court makes the decision on what cases hold priority over other cases. And that's how they decide which cases are put onto the trial docket and the availability of the court.
And so wanted to ask you this, because you did kind of touch on like how long of a process it could or couldn't be.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, is sometimes the popularity of the case, if the victims is well known or the defendants is well known, does that tend to affect the timing of when we can see the next step happen?
I would say that technically it's not supposed to affect it, right? Because you have people who are sitting in prison right now waiting on their trial date, right? But we see it all the time. Popularity and things being in the public eye, having civil rights attorneys who are pushing certain cases, right? Sometimes those things push cases to the forefront, and then also put those cases, the trial dockets, ahead of others. We see it often. And so I would say that, again, it all boils down to the court and the court schedule. They're the ones that make the suggestions, I would say, or set those court dates. So to answer your question, yes, we see it happen often. Is it supposed to happen? Not really.
Gotcha. And just to be clear so everybody understands, these are federal charges, but there are federal courts in every state, correct?
That is correct. And so even here in Texas, we have multiple federal courts, multiple federal districts. We have the Northern District, which is where we are here in Dallas, Southern District, which goes below down by Houston. So we have multiple districts. Every state has a federal court system.
Understood. And just to close up, I wanted to ask about these charges, because I think people need to understand like maybe why it took so long, for the federal charges to happen. So I'm just real quick. So the charges are violations of constitutional rights, unlawful conspiracies, and unconstitutional use of force and obstruction. How much time could these men be facing for these charges?
Okay, so one, I want to say, well, how do we even get to what those charges are? So what they're saying specifically is that these individuals falsified an affidavit that was used in order for the search warrant to be executed. And so the officers who executed that search warrant, they were the ones who shot into Briana Taylor's house, right? They were using that search warrant and the affidavit that was produced in order to execute that search warrant. And so the claim is saying that they falsified that document. And then they went at a later time and tried to cover it up by saying, you know, oh, no, we didn't falsify it. This person came and gave us this information. And so that's how we got to what these claims are. Now, the claims, let's talk about those specifically. So let's say the conspiracy. So conspiracy, in order to commit a crime at the federal level, you can be charged up to 5 years, right? If it is, let's see what else, unconstitutional rights, so deprivation of rights under the color of law, that can be, the punishment range can go up to imprisonment for a lifetime. It depends on the facts of the case. It can also depends on the severity of the injury, right, to the person who was the victim, right, the alleged victim. And so the punishment range can vary. It can vary just depending on the facts of that case.
Wow. No, I did not know life sentences could be divvied out. That makes total sense.
It
okay.
Does.
Well, that's a lot. That's an earful. Obviously, there's legal things going on every single week, so I look forward to talking to you next week. Those of you that joined us, I have attorney Bridgette Williams here, who will be discussing legal issues with Dallas Weekly every single week, so please be sure to join us next Friday at 10 a.m. Thank you so much again for your time, Bridgette. I hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.